Mrs. Morgan, your husband is here to see you. The nurse's voice echoes in the sterile ICU room, but Clara doesn't respond. She can't. The monitors beep steadily as Marcus Morgan straightens his Armani tie and glances at his Rolex. 14 hours in surgery, and you're still costing me money, Marcus mutters, dropping a hospital bill onto Clara's chest. The paper lands with a soft crinkle. $47,000. The house closes tomorrow, sweetheart. Your childhood home, finally worth something. Should have sold it years ago instead of letting you hoard memories like a pack rat. He leans closer, his cologne expensive and suffocating. The doctors say you might wake up. But between you and me, I've already told the board you're unlikely to recover. Tragic accident. Grieving widower. They ate it up. Marcus turns toward the door, briefcase in hand. Click. The door locks. Standing in the doorway is a woman with Clara's face, the same sharp cheekbones, the same widow's peak. But where Clara's eyes were soft, these eyes are glacial. She's holding a tablet, and on the screen, Marcus's company stock plummets in real time. Red numbers, falling. Hello, Marcus, Evelyn says, her voice like liquid nitrogen. I'm not here to cry. I'm here to audit your soul. Marcus's face drains of color. Evelyn, what the hell are you doing here? Evelyn steps into the room, and the temperature seems to drop with her. She's dressed in a charcoal power suit that costs more than Marcus's car payment. Her heels click on the linoleum like a countdown. I received a very interesting call 3 hours ago. Apparently my sister fell down the stairs. How clumsy of her. She glances at Clara's chart, her expression unchanging. Except Clara hasn't used stairs in months. She's been too weak. Funny thing about poisons, Marcus, they mimic symptoms of chronic illness until it's too late. You're insane, Marcus hisses, backing toward the window. Clara and I are fine. She's just... Stop. Evelyn holds up the tablet. I've already pulled your financials. You've been liquidating her trust fund for 18 months. The beach house? Sold. Her mother's jewelry? Pawned. Even the college fund for Emma? Gone. All funneled into Morgan Capital Holdings, which is currently underwater by $23 million. Marcus's jaw clenches. That's privileged information. How did you... I'm the Ice Queen of Wall Street, Marcus. I don't need your permission to see your books. I just need your stupidity, and you've been very generous with that. Evelyn walks to the foot of Clara's bed, her gaze sweeping over the scattered chaos on the floor. Legal documents, hospital invoices, and something that makes her pause. A child's drawing. Crayons on construction paper. A house. Flames. She picks it up slowly. Emma drew this, Evelyn says softly. My niece is 7 years old, and she drew your mansion burning down. Why would she draw that, Marcus? Marcus's silence is damning. Evelyn's voice hardens. Because she saw you in the garage, with gasoline cans and insurance paperwork. You're planning to burn the house for the payout, aren't you? $50 million. Enough to cover your debts and disappear. You can't prove any of this. I don't need to prove it to a judge, Marcus. I just need to prove it to your creditors. Evelyn taps her tablet, and a timer appears on the screen. 14 days. Zakras. What is that? Your countdown. In 14 days, I will have stripped you of every asset, every line of credit, and every shred of reputation you have left. You think you're a predator? I'm going to show you what it feels like to be prey. Marcus lunges forward, but Evelyn doesn't flinch. She tilts her head, almost curious. Touch me, and I'll have security here in 30 seconds. But go ahead. Add assault to your list of failures. It'll make the bankruptcy hearing more entertaining. Marcus freezes, his fists shaking. Evelyn turns to leave, then pauses at the door. "Oh, and, Marcus, that mansion you were going to burn? I've already contacted the insurance company. They're very interested in your recent activity. Arson doesn't pay out." The door clicks shut behind her, and Marcus is left staring at the child's drawing on the floor. A house in flames? Welcome to Cold Fusion, family. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to take you on a ride you won't forget. To my Day 1 subscribers, my real ones who've been here from the start, I love y'all. Thank you for showing up every single time. Before we jump in, let me pray over you real quick. God, I'm asking you right now to bless every single person watching this. Cover them with your protection. Bless their family, their health, their finances. Give them peace in the storm and strength when they feel weak. Let miracles happen in their life today, in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, let's get into it. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story about revenge. It's about what happens when you think destroying someone will save the person you love, and you realize too late that some battles leave everyone broken. This is the story of Evelyn Chen, the Ice Queen of Wall Street, who had 14 days to bankrupt a monster. But in the end, she learned that revenge doesn't work the way you think it does. The papers on the hospital floor told a story Marcus thought he'd buried. Evelyn knelt beside Clara's bed, her $5,000 suit forgotten as her knees pressed against the cold linoleum. Scattered across the tiles were documents that didn't belong in a hospital room. Bank statements, toxicology reports with Clara's name redacted, and a prescription bottle with a label that made Evelyn's blood run cold. Digitalis, for heart arrhythmia, prescribed by Dr. Richard Brennan. Clara didn't have a heart condition. Evelyn's hand trembled as she picked up the bottle. The prescription date was 18 months ago, exactly when Clara started complaining about fatigue, nausea, and dizziness. Symptoms Marcus dismissed as anxiety and being dramatic. But Digitalis wasn't for anxiety. In small doses, it treated heart problems. In controlled, escalating doses, it mimicked a slow decline into natural illness. And in the right concentration, it caused cardiac arrest that looked exactly like a tragic accident. "He's been poisoning her," Evelyn whispered, her voice barely audible over the beeping monitors. She stood, gathering the papers with surgical precision, when something else caught her eye. A legal document half hidden under the bed. She pulled it free. Life insurance policy. Beneficiary, Marcus David Morgan. Payout, $10,000. The policy was dated 3 weeks ago. Clara's signature was shaky, almost illegible, like she'd signed it while sedated. Or dying, Evelyn's phone buzzed. A text from Nadia. Marcus just left the hospital, heading to his office. "Want me to follow?" Evelyn typed back. "No, let him run. I want him to feel safe." She photographed every document, every pill bottle, every piece of evidence Marcus had been arrogant enough to leave behind. Then she noticed something that made her pause. A handwritten note in Clara's shaky cursive, dated 2 days before the accident. "If something happens to me, check the pills." Marcus switched them. "I don't feel right." "Emma knows. She saw him in the kitchen. Please, someone believe me." Evelyn's jaw clenched. Clara had known. She'd been too weak to fight back, but she'd known. A nurse appeared in the doorway. "Ma'am, visiting hours are. I'm her sister. I'm staying." Evelyn's tone left no room for argument. The nurse nodded and retreated. Evelyn sat in the chair beside Clara's bed, pulling out her laptop. She opened a secure folder labeled Morgan Takedown, Phase 1. Inside were Marcus's tax returns, offshore accounts, board meeting minutes, and emails between him and Dr. Brennan discussing treatment adjustments for Clara's anxiety. She'd known Marcus was a predator, but this was premeditated murder disguised as devotion. Evelyn's fingers flew across the keyboard, drafting an encrypted email to a private investigator, a forensic accountant, and an SEC contact who owed her a favor. Then she opened a second file, one she'd prepared years ago but never thought she'd use. Financial destruction. Protocol. Total asset liquidation in 14 days. She clicked execute. Her phone buzzed again. Nadia? He just withdrew $500K in cash. He's running. Evelyn smiled, cold and sharp. No, Marcus. You're not running. You're just making this easier. She looked at Clara, unconscious and fragile, and whispered, I'm going to burn his entire world down. And when you wake up, he'll have nothing left but a prison cell. Marcus Morgan's phone started ringing at 6:47 a.m., and it didn't stop for 3 hours. Evelyn watched the chaos unfold from her penthouse office, a cup of black coffee cooling in her hand. On one monitor, the Financial Times homepage displayed the headline she'd orchestrated, Morgan Capital Holdings under investigation for $47 billion in undisclosed offshore debt. On another screen, Bloomberg was running a breaking news segment with Marcus's company logo flashing red. The ticker at the bottom read, MRG Capital, 12% in pre-market trading. Her phone buzzed. Nadia's voice was calm but triumphant. The Wall Street Journal just picked it up. They're calling it the iceberg theory. What we see is only 10% of what's hidden. Good, Evelyn said. What about the SEC? They've escalated the audit. Marcus's lawyers are already scrambling to get a statement out, but the damage is done. Every major investor is pulling their capital. Evelyn took a sip of coffee, her expression unchanged. He'll try to spin this as a clerical error. Make sure the second leak hits before he can control the narrative. Already done. The emails between Marcus and his offshore broker go live at noon. The ones where he explicitly discusses hiding debt from shareholders. Evelyn allowed herself a small smile. Perfect. Across town, Marcus stood in his corner office, his face flushed with rage. His CFO, David Chen, hovered near the door like a man debating whether to run. How the hell did this get out? Marcus shouted, slamming his phone onto his desk hard enough to crack the screen. We buried those accounts in the Caymans. Nobody had access except... He stopped. His eyes narrowed. Evelyn. David shifted uncomfortably. Sir, with all due respect, your sister-in-law doesn't have clearance to... She doesn't need clearance. She's Evelyn Chen, the Ice Queen. She probably had my accounts hacked before Clara even hit the hospital bed. Marcus grabbed his jacket, his hands shaking. Call the board. Emergency meeting. Now. I need to control this before... His phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, J.P. Morgan Chase, Asset Management. He answered, forcing his voice to steady. Marcus Morgan. The voice on the other end was clipped and professional. Mr. Morgan, this is Brian Whitaker from Chase. We're calling to inform you that we're freezing all lines of credit associated with Morgan Capital Holdings pending the outcome of the current SEC investigation. This includes your personal accounts tied to the business. Marcus's face went pale. You can't do that. I have contracts. I'm sorry, Mr. Morgan. It's policy. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen, the phone still pressed to his ear. David cleared his throat. Sir, the board is waiting. Tell them I'm not coming. Sir? Marcus turned, his voice hollow. Tell them I'm not coming because I'm going to fix this myself. He grabbed his keys and walked out, leaving David standing alone in the office. Back in her penthouse, Evelyn's computer pinged. A news alert. MRG Capital stock now down 18%. trading halted pending investigation. She closed her laptop and looked at the photo of Clara on her desk. Day 3, she whispered. 11 more to go. Marcus chose the most expensive restaurant in Manhattan because he thought wealth could still buy him an advantage. Evelyn arrived at Le Bernardin 15 minutes late, her charcoal suit immaculate, her expression unreadable. Marcus stood as she approached the table, his smile forced and his eyes bloodshot. He'd aged 5 years in 5 days. "Thank you for meeting me," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "I wasn't sure you'd come." Evelyn sat without removing her coat. "You have 10 minutes. A waiter appeared with champagne. Marcus waved him away. "Just water. For both of us." Evelyn placed her tablet on the table, screen down, and waited. Marcus leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Look, I know things have been difficult, but we're family, Evelyn. Clara wouldn't want us to destroy each other like this. Clara is in a coma because you poisoned her. Don't invoke her name like it gives you moral authority." Marcus flinched but recovered quickly. "That's a serious accusation, one you can't prove." "I don't need to prove it to you. I just need to prove it to the right people. And I already have." His jaw tightened. "Fine. Let's cut the games. What do you want? Money? I can transfer $5 million into your account tonight. Cash, offshore, untraceable. Just walk away. Let Clara recover in peace, and we'll forget this ever happened." Evelyn tilted her head, almost amused. "You're offering me $5 million? 10 then. 10 million. That's more than enough to—" "Marcus." Evelyn picked up her tablet and turned it toward him. The screen displayed a live stock ticker, MRG Capital Holdings. The numbers were bleeding red. "In the 10 minutes since I sat down, your company just lost $10.3 million in market value. Your offer is worthless because you don't have 10 million. You barely have 10,000. Marcus stared at the screen, his face draining of color. "That's not possible. I still have the Brazilian merger. The investors in Singapore. They're gone. I contacted them yesterday. Sent them your offshore emails, your fraudulent tax filings, and a very detailed breakdown of how you've been embezzling shareholder funds to cover your gambling debts. They withdrew this morning." "You're lying." Evelyn swiped to another screen. An email thread. The subject line read, Immediate termination of Morgan Capital Partnership. Marcus's hands started to shake. You can't do this. I have lawyers. I have connections. You'll what?" Evelyn's voice was ice. "Sue me? With what money? Threaten me? I have security teams that cost more per day than your entire legal budget. You have nothing, Marcus. And in 9 days, you'll have even less." She stood, sliding the tablet back into her briefcase. "Enjoy your dinner. I hear the lobster is excellent, though I doubt you'll be able to afford it much longer." Marcus grabbed her wrist. "Please, I'm begging you. I'll confess. I'll turn myself in. Just stop this." Evelyn looked down at his hand, then back at his face. "You should have thought of that before you put poison in my sister's tea." She pulled free and walked out, leaving Marcus alone at the table, staring at the empty chair across from him. Outside, Nadia was waiting by the car. "How'd it go?" Evelyn slid into the back seat. "He tried to bribe me with money he doesn't have. Pathetic. What's next?" Evelyn's phone buzzed. A text from the private investigator. "Found Emma. She's with Marcus's mother. Safe for now." "Next," Evelyn said, "we make sure he loses everything that matters." Emma Morgan was 7 years old, and she drew her nightmares in crayon. Evelyn found her at Marcus's mother's estate in Connecticut, a sprawling colonial that reeked of old money and older secrets. The housekeeper, a woman named Rosa who'd watched Clara deteriorate for months, let Evelyn in without hesitation. "She's in the sunroom," Rosa whispered. "She hasn't spoken since the accident. Just draws." Evelyn walked through the house, her heels muted on Persian rugs, until she reached the glass-enclosed room at the back. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by construction paper and crayons, her blonde hair falling over her face as she colored with deliberate, mechanical strokes. "Emma?" Evelyn knelt beside her. "It's Aunt Evelyn." "Do you remember me?" The girl didn't look up. She kept coloring. Orange, red, yellow, black smoke rising from a 2-story house. Evelyn's chest tightened. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" "The fire," Emma said quietly. Her voice was flat, rehearsed, like she'd said it 100 times. "Daddy showed me." "Showed you what?" Emma finally looked up. Her eyes were Clara's eyes, soft brown, too old for 7. "He said we were going on vacation, to the beach house, but first he had to make the house go away." Evelyn's blood turned to ice. "Make it go away how?" Emma picked up a red crayon and scribbled flames across the windows. "He said the house was sick, like Mommy, and sick things need to burn so new things can grow." Did Daddy say you and Mommy would be in the house when it burned?" Emma nodded. "He said we'd all go to sleep first, that it wouldn't hurt, that we'd just dream and then wake up in heaven with Grandpa." Evelyn's hands clenched into fists. She forced her voice to stay calm. "When did Daddy tell you this?" "The night before Mommy fell." Emma put down the crayon and picked up another drawing. This one showed a man pouring liquid from red cans around the bottom of a house. A woman and a small girl were visible in an upstairs window, drawn with X's over their eyes. "He practices at night, when he thinks I'm asleep, but I hear him in the garage, talking to the cans." Evelyn pulled out her phone and took pictures of every drawing. There were dozens. Houses burning, a man with a briefcase walking away, a woman in a hospital bed with tubes, and one that made Evelyn's stomach turn. Emma and Clara holding hands inside a burning house, smiling, while Marcus stood outside with a phone to his ear. "Emma, these drawings are very important. Can I keep them?" "Daddy said I have to burn them. He said if anyone sees them, bad people will take me away." "Your daddy lied." Evelyn gathered the papers carefully. "These drawings are going to help Mommy, and they're going to make sure Daddy can never hurt you again." Emma looked at her with those ancient eyes. "Is Mommy going to die?" "No, sweetheart. I promise you, your Mommy is going to live, and your daddy is going to pay for what he tried to do." Rosa appeared in the doorway, her face pale. "Miss Chen, there's a man here. He says he's Emma's father. He's demanding to take her home." Evelyn stood, her expression hardening. "Tell him Emma isn't going anywhere, and if he tries to force it, I'll have the police here in 3 minutes." She pulled out her phone and texted Nadia. "Get me a family lawyer and a restraining order. Now. Marcus is not getting near this child." Then she looked at Emma. "Pack your favorite things. You're coming home with me." In 7 days, Marcus Morgan learned that "sir" was just another word for solvent. The first call came at 5:23 a.m. Marcus fumbled for his phone, still half asleep in the penthouse he could no longer afford. "Mr. Morgan, this is Patricia Chen from Goldman Sachs Asset Recovery." The voice was crisp, impersonal, no pleasantries. "We're calling regarding your margin account. As of market close yesterday, you're $4.2 million in deficit. We need immediate payment or we'll be forced to liquidate your remaining positions. Marcus sat up, his heart pounding. There's been a mistake. I have assets. The Brazilian merger alone is worth... The merger was terminated on day 4, Mr. Morgan. We need payment by noon today, or we proceed with forced liquidation. I need more time. Just give me until... Noon, Mr. Morgan. Not sir. Not anymore. The line went dead. By 9 a.m., 3 more banks had called. By 10 a.m., a process server appeared at his office with a lawsuit from his own board of directors. By 11 a.m., Marcus was sitting in his corner office, now stripped of his nameplate, watching his assistant pack his belongings into cardboard boxes. They're asking for your keycard, she said quietly, avoiding his eyes. And your company phone. Marcus stared at her. I built this company. I'm not leaving. Security is on their way, Mr. Morgan. Please don't make this harder. The phone on the desk rang. Marcus grabbed it. What? Marcus Morgan? A man's voice, bored and bureaucratic. This is Stephen Caldwell from Chase Private Banking. We're calling to inform you that your accounts have been frozen pending resolution of outstanding debts totaling $8.7 million. Additionally, your mortgage on the Connecticut property is 3 months overdue. We're initiating foreclosure proceedings. You can't do that. I'm Marcus Morgan. I've been with Chase for 15 years. You were with Chase for 15 years when you had money, Mr. Morgan. Now you're just another debtor. We'll send the paperwork to your last known address. Have a good day. Click. Marcus threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the window. His laptop pinged, an email from Evelyn. No subject line, just a single attachment, a spreadsheet, labeled Morgan Financial Collapse, Day 7 Summary. He opened it with shaking hands. The document was meticulous. Every account frozen, every asset seized, every investor lost, every bridge burned. At the bottom, a single note in red text. You have 7 days left. Use them wisely. Marcus's phone buzzed again. A text from his lawyer. They found the offshore accounts. SEC is filing criminal charges. I'm withdrawing as counsel. Good luck. Another text. His mother. The bank called. They're taking the house. Where is Emma? What have you done? Another. His brother. Don't call me. Don't come to my house. You're on your own. Marcus stood, walking to the window. 43 floors below, the city moved on without him. People rushing to meetings, closing deals, building empires while his crumbled. His reflection stared back at him, hollow-eyed, unshaven, desperate. She's destroying me, he whispered. Behind him, security arrived. 2 men in dark suits, blank expressions. Mr. Morgan, we need you to leave the premises. Not, sir. Not anymore. Marcus grabbed his jacket and walked out, leaving everything else behind. In the elevator, surrounded by strangers who didn't know his name, he pulled out his phone and dialed the one number he swore he'd never call. Evelyn answered on the first ring. I'll do anything, Marcus said. Just stop. Please. It's too late for please, Marcus. You had 7 days to turn yourself in. Now you have 7 days to watch everything burn. She hung up. Desperation tastes like gasoline and smells like arson. Marcus stood in the garage of the Connecticut mansion at 2 a.m., surrounded by 5 red gas cans he'd bought from 3 different hardware stores across 2 states. His hand shook as he unscrewed the first cap, the fumes stinging his eyes and throat. This was always the plan. Before Evelyn. Before everything fell apart. The mansion was worth more dead than alive. $50 million in insurance, enough to disappear, start over, become someone new in a country without extradition treaties. He'd already transferred the policy, documents to his phone. The payout would hit an offshore account within 72 hours of the fire marshal's report. Accidental fire, electrical malfunction, tragic loss of a historic property. Nobody had to get hurt. Clara was still in the hospital. Emma was with his mother. The house would burn empty, a beautiful, cleansing fire that would solve everything. Marcus poured the first can along the baseboards of the library, the liquid soaking into expensive Persian rugs and antique furniture. Clara had loved this room. She'd spent hours here reading to Emma, their laughter echoing off the vaulted ceilings. He pushed the memory away and kept pouring. In the kitchen, he doused the cabinets and countertops. Upstairs, he splashed gasoline across the master bedroom where he and Clara had slept for 8 years. The liquid pooled on hardwood floors, darkening the grain. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know what you're doing." Marcus's blood ran cold. He stared at the screen, his heart hammering. Another text. "The insurance company knows too. Check your email." With trembling hands, Marcus opened his inbox. At the top, flagged urgent, RE, policy, 47829, MRG, claim denied. He clicked it open. "Dear Mr. Morgan, we have been made aware of credible evidence suggesting fraudulent intent regarding policy Chapra 47829, MRG. As per section 12.4 of your agreement, any attempt to file a claim under fraudulent circumstances results in immediate policy cancellation and potential criminal prosecution. This policy is now void. Additionally, we are cooperating fully with law enforcement regarding this matter." Marcus dropped the phone. It clattered on the gasoline-soaked floor. She knew. Evelyn knew. But how? He'd been careful. He'd bought the cans with cash. He'd parked 3 blocks away. Emma's drawings. The realization hit him like a fist. Emma had seen him, drawn him, and Evelyn had the drawings. "No," Marcus whispered. No. He grabbed his phone, gasoline dripping from his hands, and called the insurance company. Voicemail. He called his lawyer. Straight to voicemail. He called the offshore bank. "This number has been disconnected." Marcus sank to his knees in the puddle of gasoline, his $3,000 suit ruined, his hands reeking of accelerant. This was it. The last play. The final card. And Evelyn had already beaten him to it. His phone buzzed again. Another text. "You're standing in 50 million of worthless evidence, Marcus. Light the match. Give me a reason to put you away for life." Marcus looked around the mansion, at the gasoline-soaked rooms, the empty halls, the family photos still hanging on walls that would never burn for profit. He pulled out the book of matches he'd bought at a gas station in Jersey. Struck one. The flame flickered orange in the darkness. "Just do it," he muttered to himself. "Burn it all. She can't prove intent. It's just a fire. Just an accident." He held the match over the gasoline trail, watching the flame dance closer to the liquid. And then his phone rang. Evelyn's name flashed on the screen. Marcus answered the phone with a lit match in his hand and gasoline on his shoes. "Don't do it," Evelyn's voice came through, calm and measured. "I know you're standing there thinking this is your way out. It's not." Marcus looked at the flame, inches from the trail of gasoline snaking through the mansion. "You've taken everything else. This is all I have left." "You're right. This is all you have left. And if you burn it, you'll have nothing. No insurance payout, no escape plan, just arson charges and a prison sentence." "Then what do you want from me?" Marcus's voice cracked. "You've already won. What more can you possibly take?" "Everything," Evelyn said, "including your last shred of dignity." On her end, Evelyn sat in her penthouse office, 3 monitors glowing in front of her. On one screen, real-time satellite imagery showed the mansion's heat signature, Marcus's phone GPS placing, him in the garage. On another, MRG Capital Holdings stock ticker, now worth $2.47 per share. On the third, a trading platform with a single order queued, short sell, 2 million shares, MRG. Her finger hovered over the execute button. "Here's what happens next, Marcus," Evelyn continued. "You're going to drop that match. You're going to walk out of that house, and you're going to turn yourself into the FBI. Because if you don't, I will make sure that what's left of your company, those last few pennies of stock value your mother and brother still cling to, disappears in the next 60 seconds. Marcus laughed, bitter and hollow. "My company's already worthless. You can't take what doesn't exist." "Can't I?" Evelyn's voice turned to steel. "Your mother has 50,000 shares. Your brother has 30,000. That's $197,600 combined at current market value. It's not much, but it's all they have left after you drain their trust funds for your offshore accounts. Drop the match, Marcus, and I'll short sell your company to zero. Your family loses everything because you couldn't walk away." Marcus's hand trembled. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Evelyn clicked execute. On Marcus's phone, still on speaker, a stock alert pinged, then another, then a cascade of alerts flooding his notifications. He pulled the phone away from his ear and stared at the screen. MRG Capital Holdings, 247, 1.89, $1.12, 0.74. "What are you doing?" Marcus whispered. "Watching your company burn faster than that house ever could," Evelyn said. 2 million shares dumped on the market in under a minute. The algorithms are in freefall. Every institutional investor is running for the exits. In 30 seconds, MRG will be delisted. Your mother's retirement? Gone. Your brother's kids' college fund? Evaporated. All because you couldn't put down a match. 0.31, 0.18, 0.09. Marcus watched his family's last financial lifeline collapse in real time. The match in his hand burned down to his fingers. He didn't feel it. "Stop," he said. "Please, stop. Drop the match." Marcus's hand opened. The match fell, still lit, and landed in the puddle of gasoline at his feet. The world exploded into orange flame. The Connecticut mansion burned for 47 minutes before the fire department arrived, and Marcus stood in the driveway watching his last asset turn to smoke. He'd tried to run. The moment the gasoline ignited, he'd scrambled through the kitchen, flames chasing him like a living thing, heat blistering the back of his neck. He'd made it out through the mudroom, collapsing on the lawn as windows exploded behind him, glass raining down like diamonds in the firelight. Now he sat on the wet grass, soot-stained and trembling, while firefighters battled a blaze they had no hope of stopping. The mansion was gone. A century-old colonial reduced to charred timber and ash. His phone rang. Evelyn. Always Evelyn. He answered without speaking. "Are you hurt?" Her voice was clinical, detached. "No." "Good. Then you can listen clearly." He heard the click of her heels, the whoosh of wind. She was outside somewhere, watching. "The fire marshal will arrive in approximately 12 minutes. When he does, you're going to tell him exactly what happened. You poured gasoline, you lit the match, you committed arson." Marcus laughed, the sound breaking into a cough. "Why would I do that? I'll go to prison." "You're going to prison either way, Marcus. The FBI has the offshore accounts, the tax fraud, the embezzlement. But if you confess to the arson, I'll make sure Clara gets full custody of Emma. If you don't, I'll bury you so deep in legal battles that Emma will be 18 before you ever see daylight." "The insurance," Marcus said desperately. "I can still claim—" "No, you can't." The policy is void, I know, but I can fight it. I can prove it was an accident, electrical fire. I was just in the garage when— Marcus! Evelyn's voice cut through his rambling. There is no insurance company. Not anymore. Silence. The crackling of flames, a timber collapsing inside the burning structure. What? I bought Apex Insurance Holdings 6 days ago. Majority stake, 51%. The board voted unanimously to void your policy the moment you stepped into that garage with gasoline on your hands. Marcus felt the world tilt. You can't just buy an insurance company. I can when it's hemorrhaging money and desperate for capital. Cost me $340 million, worth every penny to watch you realize that even your backup plan had a backup plan, mine. The mansion's roof collapsed with a groan of tortured wood and metal. Sparks spiraled into the night sky like dying stars. Marcus stared at the flames, his reflection dancing in the smoke. Why? He whispered. Why go this far? Because you poisoned my sister. Because you were going to kill her and Emma for an insurance payout. Because men like you think money makes you untouchable. Evelyn's voice hardened. I wanted you to know what it feels like to be powerless, to have everything stripped away, to stand in the ashes of your own destruction and realize nobody's coming to save you. Fire trucks surrounded the property now, lights flashing red and blue against the orange glow. A fire marshal stepped out, clipboard in hand, walking toward Marcus. He's coming for you now, Evelyn said. Are you going to confess, or do I make Emma's life hell for the next decade? Marcus looked at his hands, blistered, shaking, reeking of gasoline and failure. I'll confess, he said quietly. Good. One more thing, Marcus. What? Clara woke up an hour ago. The phone went dead, and Marcus sat in the ashes of his empire, watching everything he'd built turn to smoke. Marcus Morgan was arrested at dawn, handcuffed in a hospital parking lot, while asking to see his daughter one last time. The FBI had been waiting. 2 agents in dark suits, professional and efficient, reading him his rights as news cameras, captured every moment. Arson, insurance fraud, attempted murder, embezzlement. The charges rolled out like a death sentence, and Marcus didn't fight. He simply stood there, hollow-eyed and broken, as they led him to an unmarked car. Evelyn watched from her penthouse, the scene playing on every news channel. Former real estate mogul Marcus Morgan arrested in $50 million insurance fraud scheme. The ticker scrolled endlessly, his mugshot already viral. She closed the laptop and turned to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. 14 days. She'd done it. Marcus was destroyed, his assets seized, his freedom gone. Clara was safe. Emma was safe. Victory should have tasted sweeter. Her phone buzzed. Nadia. The recovery center is ready. I've arranged for Clara's transfer from the hospital. The facility has round-the-clock care, physical therapy, psychiatric support. Cost breakdown is in your inbox. Good. Make sure Emma's therapist is on site. I want them together as much as possible. Already done. Oh, and Evelyn, Clara's asking for you. Evelyn's chest tightened. I'll be there in an hour. She'd spent $12 million in the last week building the recovery center, a private estate in upstate New York with medical staff, therapists, and everything Clara would need to rebuild her life. It was the best money could buy. Evelyn's version of mercy. When she arrived, Clara was sitting in a wheelchair by the window, her face pale but alert. Emma sat beside her, drawing quietly. The same crayons. Different pictures now. Flowers, sunshine, a house with a family standing in front, whole and smiling. Clara, Evelyn said softly, stepping into the room. Clara turned. and Evelyn expected gratitude, relief, maybe even tears of joy. Instead, Clara's eyes were cold. "Get out." Evelyn froze. "What?" "I said get out." Clara's voice was weak but firm. "You destroyed my daughter's father. You bankrupted his family. You turned my life into a spectacle for your vendetta. Tried to kill you. He was going to. I know what he did." Clara's shout startled Emma, who looked up from her drawing with wide, frightened eyes. Clara softened, touching her daughter's hand before turning back to Evelyn. "I know exactly what Marcus did, but you never asked me what I wanted. You just decided, like I was another asset to manage. I saved your life. You took away my choice." Clara's hands trembled in her lap. Emma doesn't have a father now. She doesn't have a home. She doesn't have stability. All she has is trauma and a very expensive prison her aunt built to feel less guilty. Evelyn felt the words like physical blows. "I did this for you." "No." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "You did this for you, because destroying him was easier than asking me what I needed. I didn't want revenge, Evelyn. I wanted help. I wanted support. I wanted someone to ask me if I was okay instead of deciding for me what justice looks like." The room fell silent except for Emma's, crayons scratching paper. Evelyn opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time in 14 days, she had no response, no strategy, no plan. "I'm sorry," she finally whispered. Clara looked away. "So am I." Evelyn left the recovery center she'd built and sat in her car, staring at the $12 million prison her mercy had created. She'd won every battle and lost the only war that mattered. Revenge doesn't work like you think it does. It costs everyone, even the winners. Marcus built his empire on lies, poison, and his family's suffering. When Evelyn dismantled it in 14 days, she proved that houses built on others' tears eventually burn. But she also learned that destroying a monster doesn't heal the wounded. True power isn't measured by what you can take from others, but by what you're willing to protect. Marcus lost everything because he had no foundation. Evelyn won everything and realized victory without love is just another kind of bankruptcy. Sometimes the greatest revenge is walking away before you become what you're fighting. If this story touched you, remember, you don't need power to make a difference. You need the wisdom to ask before you act, the humility to admit when your help becomes harm, and the courage to step back when someone needs their own agency more than your rescue. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone choose their own path, even when you desperately want to save them. That is the kind of strength that truly heals. Thank you for watching to the end. If today's story made you think differently about revenge, justice, or what it means to help someone, please hit subscribe so you won't miss new episodes every week. Which moment hit you hardest? When Evelyn destroyed Marcus, or when Clara rejected her rescue? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video so the algorithm knows you want more stories that challenge how we think about right and wrong. If you're watching from a particular city, share where you're tuning in from. I'd love to see how wide our community reaches.